Welcome to BeyondBIM. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of interviewing Christian Frey, a Senior Manager and Innovation and Patent Coordinator at Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Christian has a strategic vision at Siemens within the Smart Infrastructure headquarters. It is specifically tied to the digital twinning of buildings. He's also the co-author of Buildings and Beyond, which is an expert study about digitization and artificial intelligence. But today we discuss how digital twinning can help create new personalized services inside buildings, and also how to obtain a more cost-effective, straightforward and sustainable smart building with digital twins. Digitally twinning an entire building is something quite different from an aircraft engine. And Christian reminds us that the building twin application allows for a connected digital representation of a physical building. It also brings together dynamic and static data from multiple sources in a 3D model, which then is supposedly assisting us in more effective and informed decision-making. To hear more on this and beyond, let's listen to what Christian has to say on digital twin buildings and the research at Siemens. Could you start off by telling us a little bit more about yourself, Christian, and what led you to your interest into the built environment and digital twins in the first place?
My name is Christian Frey, and I work for Siemens Smart Infrastructure at their headquarters based in Zug, Switzerland. In 2011, after I restarted with Siemens Building Technologies at their headquarters in Zug as head of innovation, I was contacted by Fraunhofer Institute to participate in a European FP7 research project, which was a frame program at this time, the seventh frame program from the EU, for resilience of large-scale urban built infrastructure. Now, the goal of the project was to improve the security and resilience of large multifunctional building complexes to natural and man-made disasters by providing methodology and tools which enable to include security and resilience from an early design and planning phase of such projects. So BIM technology was a central part in this project at this time. And as in Siemens, as we did evacuation of pedestrians in buildings, I decided to participate in the consortium. And we convinced the jury and received the funding, luckily. So in order to prepare the implementation of tools and the codification of new standards, we modeled and simulated hazards which were significantly relevant for the construction and operation of larger building complexes, embedded into our urban infrastructure. So today, a digital twin is for many different products are simulated and digitally optimized before they go into production in multiple pieces. However, a building is only built once, and even if they look the same, like the Twin Towers, the usage is completely different. And in order to avoid misunderstanding, even within Siemens, we call our twins the building twins.
And did your original background stem from the built environment or from another sector?
Well, I'm a communication engineer. That was my what I studied. And I started after university. I started with Siemens in Karlsruhe for video surveillance, actually. So, and then I went to a company, external company for digital video transmission, and I came back to Siemens for in the security sector, and then I went off again to become a patent engineer. I was leading a patent office, and then I was getting back to Siemens to this smart building infrastructure company.
Yeah, and there's been obviously a lot of talk about digital twins by governments, researchers, and of course technology providers like Siemens. But for the novice, how would you describe what a digital twin is in the context of buildings?
The building twin, as we call it, as I said, allows a connected digital representation of a physical building. And it brings together machine-readable, dynamic, and static data from multiple sources in one model and enables herewith informed and effective decisions to be made. So it bridges the physical and digital world through sensors that collect real-time data within a physical environment. It provides real-time understanding of how a building is performing, enabling immediate adjustments to optimize energy efficiency and to provide data to improve the design of future buildings. So as designed and as built models will be synchronized, thus allowing companies to continuously monitor the real progress against the initial BIM-based planning. The result is a more cost-effective, straightforward, and sustainable smart building. So in the beginning, the architect has a nice design, but at the end of the day, we need a good performance of the building, which is cost-efficient and also environmental friendly.
And is that something that you're seeing taking place or shifting with the customers or clients that you're already working with? Is that something that architects, designers, engineers are starting to come to grips and understand the potential of digital twins?
Yeah, it is starting, and also with the Building Smart International, where I also where Siemens is a member of, and I'm participating here. We try to bring this understanding also to the construction industry. I mean, there are studies that shows that the construction industry has not the same, let's say, efficiency like, let's say, automotive industry and other building manufacturing industries. So it's starting to take off, and also customers are asking more and more, especially for this BIM-based planning, so they have a clear understanding of what they will get at the end. And also the German government has this digital building project, and for larger projects, you have to submit your digital representation. So it's taking off slowly, but we also try to push it, of course.
And you mentioned automotive and manufacturing there. So some skeptics might say that, well, is it really feasible for us to scale digital twins to such an extent for a building? What would you say to that? Or what have you noticed, the differences between aviation, automotive versus buildings?
Yeah, this is also internally we have some misunderstanding. Let's say it was in the beginning, because when our industry guys were talking about a digital twin, they thought, okay, I design a motor, I see where the heat sources are, so how can I limit this heat in certain places and so on. And they did a lot of simulation in this part. And once they have the optimum digital representation of this motor, they build it 100,000 times. We have a problem in our building industry that a building is only built once. And even, as I said, if they look the same, they have a different operation. And for this, we have to make sure that we also have in the beginning a good simulation of the behavior of the building later on. Because from the life cycle cost of a building, only 20% is used for the design and construction. The operation phase is another 80%. And here is where you really spend a lot of money. And if you have an efficient building, efficient also not only from the energy side, but also from the usage by your employees, which is the highest cost actually in this environment, then you have a huge saving. And many companies, they change after, they also have to adapt to the market, so they change the usage of their office space and other stuff. And this can be optimized with a digital twin, with a building twin. And then once you know, okay, it's working now, then you go into the physical realization phase.
And then in conjunction with that, if we start looking at the ways in which buildings are managed and businesses that do manage buildings. So have you noticed in the work that you've conducted so far that those businesses are changing? Have they become more digitized? Are they incorporating IoT more?
Yeah, and unfortunately now we see that we have to rethink the usage of our building due to the COVID-19 virus. So you have to make sure that you have the distance between the people, that the usage of the rooms and also maybe also toilets and so on is changing. And if you have no digital representation and you cannot make the simulation, then it's a huge drawback. And so also the re-digitalization of buildings will become more and more important by scanning them and creating a digital representation. So you don't know what's coming, but you have to prepare and adapt to certain circumstance. Not only business driven, but also, as you see now, driven by a virus.
Yeah, indeed. And given the ongoing challenges that we have just alone with the pandemic, if we're talking about digitizing our buildings and trying to implement digital twins, what are some of the challenges that you are seeing persistently at Siemens?
At Siemens, I mean, we have many office buildings, and our Siemens real estate, they have to operate them, and they have to operate them also in an efficient way. And the challenge is always that the customers have let's say a chance to select which building they want to use as an office building, or whether even if they build their own office building, then to bring this understanding also into the design phase, that's still a bit of a challenge. I see that architects, they like to have a beautiful building, but in order to make sure that you have an efficient operation phase, this is not that in their mind right in the beginning, to my understanding. And therefore, our knowledge has to take place also in the design phase already, so that we can also consult the building designers with our experience from the operation phase.
And for smaller businesses, so SMEs, small to medium-sized enterprises, they would probably view cost and funding as the first hurdle. So is digital twinning affordable for SMEs, or is this something for larger organizations?
No, it's also for even for private housing. It is useful because, as I said, the saving comes later on. A problem that we face is maybe that the investor is not the user of the building.
Yes.
Then he wants to build cheap and with a high profit, but the user, the end user, who rents the office space or the space in the building, then he has a drawback, and his cost is maybe higher in the operation. That's why we have to make sure that also the investor is convinced that if he spends a bit more money in the beginning, it pays off at the end. And I think also the users of a building will look more closer to the operational cost at the end of the day. It's like with a car. When you buy a car that consumes 15 liters per 100 kilometer, then you're rethink twice, even if it's a nice, beautiful car, right?
Right.
And this is the same with buildings. So if you rent a building and you sign a performance contract right in the beginning, which some companies do now when they enter a building, then it is a different story.
And for those that are occupying the building, would they ever come face to face with a digital twin? Is there any interface for those that are, let's say, not building owners, but occupants of those spaces?
Right. There is. And for this, we have our Comfy app. It's an app that, let's say, if you look for a free meeting room or a telephone cell to have a quiet call, then you can use this app in order to find this and occupy it even. Or if you look for a colleague in a big office, want to know where he's sitting because you want to talk to him personally, then you can use this app and you get even direction to this to your colleague. And the next is also where we also use this app is also about the office environment. So that, let's say, the temperature. Today, in older buildings, you even have to stand up and set the temperature of that you like. And now with an open office space, everybody will change the temperature, and this is not really useful. So the app allows you to tell whether you feel whether you are too cold, too warm, or if you feel okay. And based on the average from every user around you in your environment, the temperature is set. And if you are the only one feeling, let's say, too warm, just take your jacket off, and then that's it.
Is this sort of one step closer to personalized services in a building?
Also, yeah. I mean, you can, even if you receive, let's say, a post for yourself, then you can get a notification and even the direction where you have to pick up the post. Or if you print something and you have a central printer and maybe you're in a unknown office space just for that meeting, then you get the direction to that printer. So there are many possibilities to interact with the building once it is digitized.
I guess that is also an opportunity for new business models as well. So do the digital twins also open up an opportunity for SMEs to potentially offer new services?
Absolutely. I mean, it's an ecosystem. And what we do with a building twin is that we provide, let's say, the basis with static and dynamic data. And if you have a smart idea, you can put it into an app, say, make money with that. It's so easy these days. And I mean, we see from Google, when you use Google Maps, you can have also now indoor maps and have similar services like you have on Google Maps. You can also put in indoor navigation and also for shops, for indoor shops. Let's say you have a shop in a shopping center, but it's in the third floor. And until the customer arrives on the third floor, he has no more money. So he is not able to buy your stuff.
Yeah.
So if you let's say, give him a message once he enters the shopping center and say, if you come by in the next 20 minutes, you get a discount of 5%. And then he thinks, oh, wow. Then let's go to the third floor first to get the discount because I wanted to go there anyway.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, and this is just spontaneously now that comes to my mind. And if you really do a brainstorming innovation session on what's possible once you have all this data, then you can create much more positive apps and support to your customers.
So it becomes like an avenue for new business opportunities, but also business model innovation for some companies. So that's really interesting. And you mentioned ecosystem there. So where does Siemens fit into the digital twin ecosystem right now?
As I said, we would like to get into this ecosystem earlier, already in the design phase, and then later on support our customers and the tenants with our technology in the operation phase, like performance contracting, where we say, we do a measurement on your installation. And what we did, for example, in our own building, what we found out that we have a water consumption over the weekend, and we were wondering where it's coming from. And what we found out later on that it was the flush on the toilet that was hanging happens quite often. So, and this can only be found out once you have the data. And this is exactly what we would like to provide to our customers, and not only by ourselves, but also, as I said, on an open platform, on our building twin platform, that we are able to save time, money, and create a healthy environment for all of us.
Excellent. And where could our listeners find out more about the research and development work done by Siemens on digital twins?
Yeah, we have a website. It's the Smart Infrastructure website. If you type Google Siemens Building Twin, then you will directly find the latest news on our building twin research and our offerings.
Thank you for tuning in to listen to BeyondBIM podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more from our latest episodes, then you can visit BeyondBIM, which is available on SoundCloud and iTunes and all the other major podcast providers.